Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We are chock full of great Tampa Bay sports information and debate. Man, we got great topics today. I love a good topical day where we can debate some stuff, get into some real juicy stuff, and we will today. We got Bucs news, we got Rays news, we got Bolts news, we got college football news, we got great guests. Where else you want to be for the next 2 hours, huh? Where? Nowhere. Right here.
Not terrestrial radio, that's for damn sure.
That's for dadgum sure. Are you kidding me? Good morning to you, IndyCar Tim, from our DSP affiliate in Dallas, where it's 39 degrees today.
44 and rainy. Not only is it 44, it's overcast and it's rainy.
Cold and rainy is
There's
worst.
nothing worse than that.
Oh,
man.
God.
Bad.
Snowy, and cold is a little bit because it's snow. It's pretty,
I
right?
can deal with that.
Yeah. But rain, cold rain,
There's no reason for the cold unless it's snowing. I've always said that. Or unless I'm outside playing hockey on the lake.
Yeah, 100% for that. All right, we got lots to get into today. Corey Long is going to join us, longtime expert at college football and recruiting will join us. We got lots to talk about, obviously, with the playoff and the big games this weekend. We'll probably recap a little bit of the FSU-Florida game. We'll do that as well with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. He'll give us an update on where Gator Nation is at now with Billy Napier, and I'd say fed up to about here. But will they make a change? I don't know. Is there positives and negatives? We'll get to the inside with Scott Carter there at FloridaGators.com. And Brian Bradley will join us live from Amalie Arena from the morning skate as Sid the Kid and the Pens are in town. The Penguins against the Lightning tonight, who have lost 2 in a row and have scored 2 goals in 2 games. And their defense is almost dead last in the league. So, but there's still plenty of positives to talk about with the Lightning. So we got lots and lots to get to. You can join us as well in the comment section on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Jump on in. And if you want to get your opinion in there, your thoughts on all the stuff we're going to talk about. So we will jump right in. Lonnie Wilkins is already up early. He was up early, man. The show. He said, did you see the rumors buzz on Twitter about the Rays shopping Randy Arozarena? Got to make sure to twist the knife into this era of Rays fans. It's like on the day they announce, we're going to do $10 tickets again, and we're going to move starting times back to $6.50. We're going to keep marketing the team. Shocking development. They were up 27% last year, Tim, in attendance. And it was stuff that we've been telling them and begging them, and fans have been begging them to do for a long, long time. Make the tickets more affordable. Make it easier for people to get in and out. Actually pay attention to the fan experience like the Lightning do and the Bucs do. And what do you know? Somebody comes in from the outside that Major League Baseball forced upon the Rays, my opinion. They finally, allegedly, they finally start marketing their team. And what do you know? 27% more people show up. Shocking development. No, crazy, right? I know.
If you give them what they want, sometimes they'll show up.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, here's this little nugget from St. Petersburg. Somebody sent me a note. They're one of the few declining population cities in Florida. The city of St. Petersburg.
So, hey, let's go build a new stadium there.
Oh, but wait, there's more. So today, I just see on Creative Loafing a story about First Friday, their big entertainment thing that they do downtown is shutting down for lack of corporate sponsorship. So you're telling me you can't keep First Friday going in downtown St. Pete, a party that's once a month, for lack of corporate sponsorship. But we're going to spend $1.2 billion on a new stadium in a failed location. Government at its finest. Let's go. Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go. Well, we're not going to get into all that. Not today. But, and yes, what's even worse, they're shopping Randy Arozarena. Why would they do that? Well, let me think. He's a Scott Boras client. He's going more arbitration money. He's going to make more money in arbitration. and he won't sign as a free agent, so he's not going to stay with the team, right? Because you won't pay him. Scott Boras knows that.
Yeah.
You won't pay these players what they're worth to keep them around to try and win championships. And what you do is you sell off your best talent, aka Blake Snell or whoever else, and they go win another Cy Young award while you're left with a bunch of slapdick prospects. Sometimes you make great trades like the Pittsburgh one and with Chris Archer, and that's fantastic. But what they do is they get rid of their best players to bring in talented, young, cheap. Hopefully they get talented players back this time, unlike the Blake Snell trade. And they can retool and stay competitive in the regular season at a very cheap level. So Stu makes hundreds of millions of dollars. That's there. And notice that strategy, and nowhere in there is there a goal about winning a World Series. It's always meaningful games in September, so we can keep selling tickets to you local yahoos who think we're actually trying to win a World Series, and we're not. We're just trying to make more money. But whatever, Rays fans, we love you. Good luck with that group. Hopefully he sells soon, and we can get a real ownership group in here that actually cares about the local community and cares about winning World Series like we have with the Lightning and the Buccaneers. But until then, that's what you got. So let's hope this sale goes through, and it goes through soon. And yes, they'll probably sell off Randy Arozarena and any other assets that they can sell off. So good for them. Let's talk about some real teams now, and that would be the Buccaneers. So, Tim, I don't know if you saw this, but the great Mike Florio, who comments on Buccaneer stuff all the time, is usually 100% wrong.
As he is with everything else.
As you touched the Bucs? Okay, my bad. By the way, Cowboys playing tonight, so I'm expecting a scouting report from you.
Absolutely.
So he writes a story that the most fascinating team to trade for Bill Belichick is the Buccaneers. We're the most fascinating team.
Did he mispronounce the word stupid?
I think this is, a little bit part of the Northeast bias, where they still are erecting statues to Bill Belichick and, still think that he's the greatest coach in the history of the game. And for a time, his record suggests that he was, but clearly his record without Tom Brady suggests that he is not. Unlike Don Shula, who won with Dan Marino and Bob Greasy and Johnny Unitas and many, many different. And
Earl Morrall.
Yeah, Earl Morrall. Thank you very much. 1972 backup quarterback, remains a perfect season. So yeah, pretty good coach. Was able to do it with a lot of different pieces in a lot of different ways. Bill Belichick, I'm sorry, can't hold a candle to the great Don Shula in my mind. Biased, yes, Dolphin fan growing up, but none the same. And clearly, Bill Belichick is past his prime at 72 years old, and he's just simply holding on to get Don Shula's record. So we're supposed to be the vehicle in which we're going to watch Bill Belichick chase this record for 3 or 4 years that it's going to take him to get it while he wins games and wins 6 games a year, 17-13 with some horrible offense because he has no idea how to coach offense or get personnel for offense without Tom Brady. No idea. So for some reason, the Bucs are the most fascinating team because, and then, we connected all the dots. Rick Stroud wrote an article, connected all the dots about, 20 years ago, the Bucs, traded for a coach in John Gruden, and they went and won a Super Bowl. Well, I would have to suggest that this is a much different situation. I mean, John Gruden was in his prime as a coach, was in his prime. A young dude full of fire and piss and vinegar who came in here and transformed a franchise offensively, lit a fire, and then proceeded to run Rich McKay out of town and tear it down.
He just took the Raiders to the Super Bowl right before that, right?
Yeah. No. The Raiders had gone to the Raiders went to the Super Bowl the year after he left. Well,
okay, I got you.
So that was his team that he built, that he helped build.
Gotcha.
But they had gotten to they would have gone to the Super Bowl if not for the stupid fumble with Brady in the grass or whatever the hell that thing was.
Yeah.
That thing where they should have gone, they were robbed there. That was not, that wasn't Gruden's team, but Gruden was a highly coveted, up and coming, in his prime coach, not what Bill Belichick is right now. Plus, you have a team in the Bucs that is in need of a rebuild here and a retool. Why the hell would you give up draft picks to trade for a over the hill coach? Are you effing kidding me? I mean, the Glazers are not this dumb. They're not, I know, and they're big game hunters. I hear that all the time. And in the right situation. And by the way, most of their big game hunting has been failed miserably. They thought they had Chip Kelly when Chip Kelly was hot. It was in the paper. Chip Kelly's coming to Tampa Bay. That sailed at the 11th hour. Bill Parcells left them at the altar twice. The only big game hunting they've ever done is John Gruden. And they grotesquely overpaid for John Gruden. Yeah. Look, I mean, you win a Super Bowl, so can you ever overpay for a Super Bowl? Probably not. But in any rational world, giving up 2 1s and 2 2s and $8 million for a coach is ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. And I wouldn't give up a 7th round pick for Bill Belichick. No disrespect to the man. He had his time, but his time is past. And you need a guy that's going to come in and develop a young quarterback. Oh, how's Bill doing on that? So
just for some context for everybody, the other 2 head coaches, greatest head coaches in the history of the league, are who, other than Belichick, in your opinion, JP?
We just
talked about one.
Yeah, Don Shula. Chuck Noll's got to be right there.
All right, Tom Landry,
Bill Walsh, Tom Landry,
Dallas kid.
Yeah.
So
Tom
my
Landry,
point of reference
Bill
is Tom. Okay, for instance, Tom Landry coached the Cowboys 29 years, right? 60 until he was unceremoniously let go after the 88 season. He was 65. All right, out of the league.
Go? Wow.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, right.
65. Wow. I would have guessed like in his 70s. I would have guessed in his 70s.
Don Shula coached the Colts for 8 years.
Yeah,
then went on to
less than that, like 3 or 4 years, because he was the youngest coach in the league. Yeah.
63 to 69. He was the head coach of the Colts.
Okay. All right.
Don Shula, 70 to 95, 26 years. He was the coach of the Dolphins. He was out the door at 66.
Wow. I would have guessed in his 70s as well. Yeah.
Right. And now here we have Don Shula at 72.
Bill Belichick. Yeah.
I mean, Bill Belichick at 72, and he's been now in the league. This is his 24th season with not in the league, but with the Patriots. So put the age thing into perspective a little bit with 2 of the other greatest coaches.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Really, really interesting. So this is a hard no for me. This is a hard no for me, Bill Belichick. It checks no boxes, 0 boxes. It checks, you can't develop a quarterback. He's not a rebuilder. He's terrible in personnel. I know Jason Light has a connection with Bill Belichick, but even Jason Light, as much as he obviously, owes a lot to Bill Belichick for his career, he's not dumb enough to do this, right? I mean, I don't see it. I mean, look what he's done since Brady has left. It's been a disaster. I mean, that team is awful to watch. He didn't have an offensive coordinator last year. Like, what kind of crazy ass shit is that? That's just bananas. Bananas. So I can't. I mean, just because Florio wrote it, we'll talk about it. Rick Stroud did a piece on it in the St. Pete Times. You got it, Tampa Bay Times. You got it. You talk about it. But I'm here to just. And I don't see any groundswell with the fan base at all. Like, it's almost universal. Look at our comments. Christopher Gold, no Belichick. Like, nobody wants Bill Belichick. Nobody.
By the way, how old do you think Chuck Noll was when he left the league?
Yeah, I would have said early 70s, but you're going to tell me differently.
59.
No.
When he retired in 1991, he was 59.
Wow. Holy crap.
Right?
Yeah, that's a holy crap. That's so young these days. 59 is the new 39, right?
Right.
Whatever. I don't know, but
that just tells you where Belichick is right now with the age thing. And
go home. Go home. Too much. Go get your statue made. But it's weird. Is somebody going to give him a chance to break this record?
Somebody will.
Is Robert Kraft going to give him a chance to break the record?
He can't, right?
I mean, what is he? 26 away? I think it's 20 something, right?
Let's see.
Double check that for me.
Yeah,
he's not going to win more than 6 and 7 games a year. I don't see it unless he gets some quarterback dropped in his lap. I just don't see it. No way. So I don't see how
17 games.
So 17 games. That's 3 years. That's 3 more years for him. Maybe at the top end of 2, right?
That's all time for just the regular season. He's 29 behind Shula.
Yeah, 29 for postseason wins as well.
For regular season, and then he's 17 behind for all time.
All time. Yeah, that's 3 seasons. 3 more seasons.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
There's
no way he lasts 3 seasons.
Yeah, you think at 75, Shula got carried off on the shoulders of his players, right? Belichick's going out with a walker. Yeah, no, that does not here. Hell no, that's not happen. I think it's the most preposterous thing ever. So that brings us to Dan Quinn, who Joe Bucs fan wrote an article on the mighty Quinn. I think is going to be I think he's going to be highly sought after. I really do. And I got a chance to work with him for 1 year in Atlanta when I was working on the Falcons network, and I was there at his opening press conference, and it was kind of privy to one of the reasons Arthur Blank hired him. And he took him to he took him to that Super Bowl, right? And that was
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the
28-3.
Yeah, that one. And he is a really interesting guy. He's got a real Pete Carroll vibe to him, and maybe that's negative for some people, but I love Pete Carroll's.
Yep.
The guy. I mean, talk about age, right? The dude is ageless. His energy level is through the roof. He is not an arm folder. Dan Quinn is not an arm folder. Dan, right? Obviously working with him at the Cowboys.
By the way, Pete Carroll also 72 years old.
Yeah. But wow,
different 72,
look at Pete
right?
Carroll. Look at Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. So I mean, Dan Quinn, and I it obviously didn't end well in Atlanta. He couldn't sustain it, but he came in and gave them a jolt. And he's a great motivator. He does a lot of different things in team building. At least he did with Atlanta. A lot of different things in motivating minds. He's very well read. He's modern motivation techniques. A lot of stuff that you definitely don't see with Todd Bowles. That's for sure. He is involved in game plans. Super high energy. He's 53 years old, I believe, 52, 53 years old.
53, yeah.
Yeah, but a young 53, right? He is a vibrant man. I haven't been around him for many, many years, but I loved being in his presence. The players love playing for him. He brings a tremendous energy. Now, I know he's I've already gotten this on Twitter, retread, defensive coach. I get it. All that, I get it. But you pair him with Dave Canales, who we work with in Seattle, and maybe you have the makings of a good team here. I'm not, typically I would kind of go more towards a guy that can develop a young quarterback, an offensive guy. So I would certainly be open to that as well. But I think Dan Quinn's an interesting choice. What are your thoughts on Dan?
Dude, I love Dan Quinn. And I tell you, there was talk last year about him leaving the organization.
Yeah.
To go to Denver, about him going to Carolina. Anytime there is a head coaching vacancy, Dan Quinn's name is mentioned, and obviously, and it's rightfully
highly
so.
regarded.
He's highly regarded. He's a great defensive mind. He's got a proven track record as a defensive coordinator, and he's, like you said, he's a great players coach. I love the fact that you won't see him out on the practice field with his hat on forwards. It's always on backwards. Like, I love that in a 53-year-old dude. Yeah. I didn't start wearing my hat backwards, JP, until I started seeing Dan Quinn do it. And I'm like, look, man, I'm his age. We can both be cool.
I do it a lot.
We can both be cool, man. So, no, he's highly regarded, as you said. And, people that say he's a retread, he can't be a retread. He's only had one chance. He's not a retread yet.
Right.
And I will tell you, yes, he's a defensive dude. But look who he had as offense. Who was the offensive coordinator on that team, JP, the Super Bowl Falcons team?
God.
Was that 20? What year was that? 2016?
Yeah, I may go. Let me go back and look. That
was Kyle Shanahan.
Yes, that's right. It's Kyle Shanahan. Yes.
Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that's right.
And a Dan Quinn led team with Kyle Shanahan as an offensive coordinator took their team to the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan as their quarterback. I don't have anything against Matt
MVP.
Ryan.
I mean, come on now.
I don't have anything against Matt Ryan, but he's not like one of your upper echelon all-time great quarterbacks. Okay, he's going to be on the list of quarterbacks. How do they make it to the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my opinion, and I have nothing against Matt Ryan. I just don't think he's got the stats. I get it, but that's due to longevity. But look, man, I don't think you can say Dan Quinn is a retread head coach or he's a bad head coach because of what happened one time in Atlanta. He took his team to the Super Bowl. How many guys get fired that didn't take their team to the Super Bowl?
Right. Right.
So I think he deserves a second chance. He's going to get a second chance, and he will have his pick of where he wants to go for his second chance. Is he going to be one of these guys that we talk about that, man, they were a great coordinator, but they just couldn't cut it as a head coach? I don't know, maybe, but the guy deserves another shot, and I think he would succeed massively in Tampa.
When I get a vibe of, like Todd Bowles always struck me as a guy that was a great coordinator that would not make a great head coach. That, he just, that's the way he strikes me. Raheem Morris always struck me as a guy that I think had the charisma to be a head coach. Mike Tomlin struck me as a guy when he was an assistant that he had the charisma to be a head coach. Probably a better example than Raheem, but I think Raheem's going to get another job, and I'll be interested to see how he handles that because he was way too young, and he would tell you that first and foremost to handle that whole situation. And they're just certain guys that you just feel like they're better coordinators than they are head coaches. I would put Mike Smith in that category. I think Mike Smith was a better coordinator than he was a head coach. I think Dirk Cutter was a better coordinator than he was a head coach. Being a head coach is, as we've talked about, it takes a very, very interesting skill set. You've got to be motivator. You've got to be cold and calculating. You got to have some asshole in you. If there's one thing Dan Quinn may not have, he may not have enough of that in him.
Oh, I think he does. I've seen it.
Okay, good. Because I think that maybe was his downfall in Atlanta. Yeah. I think towards the end, the players were. I don't know if there was enough accountability towards the end, and I think maybe that's something that he would do better the second time around. Again, I'm not stumping for Dan Quinn. I think there are a lot of good coordinators out there, offensive guys, but I'm saying if he were the choice, I think he would be a really good choice. I think Dan Quinn is going to succeed at his next head coaching job, wherever that is. And let's always remember, folks, Bill Belichick, considered many as the best coach ever, was a quote retread, got another job. All right.
He failed miserably in Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. So, John Shula, as we mentioned, not that he was fired by Baltimore, but he was hired by the Miami Dolphins as, he was a coach other places.
Pete Carroll in New England.
Yeah.
And the Jets.
Yeah. So there's, you got to be careful about that. Second time is usually better for most of these guys. I won't say, and some guys that get second chances like Todd Bowles, that again, was that a coaching search? Was that a legitimate coaching search? Did the Glazers? No, it wasn't. That was a preordained thing by Tom Brady. So no, it's in my opinion.
Now, here's the thing about Dan Quinn now, for anyone who's interested in bringing him to coach your team, it's going to take a lot for him to leave Dallas because he has been promised by Jerry Jones that he is the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. But the Dallas Cowboys' success under Mike McCarthy now certainly would tell Dan that, he ain't getting it next year, right?
Well, he could.
Season's not done. Not done.
I will tell you this. I think, and this is what's thought of here locally, the way it's thought of here locally, if Mike McCarthy does not at least make the NFC Championship game this year, he's out.
Really?
Jerry Jones needs progress. He needs progress.
Interesting.
And he's tired of losing in the playoffs. And the head coach is always going to be the one to fall for that, right, when you don't. And here's the problem. They ain't going to the NFC Championship game this year. Ain't happening. You're not getting past Philly and San Francisco or one of them even in the playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, Dallas has to go on the road to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara again for the third year in a row to get knocked out by the 49ers.
Yeah, I can't see them beating the 49ers right now. And as good as Dallas has looked, and we can kind of transfer into that right now and kind of lean on your expertise here covering the Cowboys. We're going to watch them tonight. And Thursday Night Football. And, the narrative is this. They're beating up on bad teams, can't beat the good teams. Is that fair?
100% fair. That is the narrative, and that's a fact. I mean, you look at the teams that they've beaten when they got off to that huge start. They beat the Giants and the Jets in consecutive weeks, 40-0, 30-10. Then you lost to Arizona. And I said when they lost the game to Arizona Arizona, an NFC loss, I said, man, this game can come back and haunt you as an NFC loss late in the season. And it's already happening here after week 12. As you lose to Arizona, you cream New England 38-3.
Terrible.
Then the San Francisco lost 42-10, the first good team that you played. You barely beat the Chargers in Los Angeles 20-17. You cream the Rams 43-20. Oh, the next loss, guess who? Philadelphia. Now, you were in that game, and you had 2 chances in under 2 minutes to win it, but your quarterback stepped out of bounds on a 2-point conversion at the 2-yard line rather than carrying it in the end zone. So you lose that game. Then you beat the Giants, the Panthers, and the Commanders, and there's your 8-3 record right now. So coming up, you've got winning teams, all potential playoff teams: Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Detroit.
Where's that game tonight?
It's here.
It's here. Okay.
Cowboys have won 13 in a row at home. They're looking to win 14 in a row. It's the longest winning streak the Cowboys have had at home since 79-81 at Texas Stadium when they won 18 in a row.
Interesting. Yeah. So listen, man, this is a big game for the Cowboys tonight. We've got to see them beat, and not that Seattle is the best team. I'd say Seattle is a middling team, right? It's a playoff team, but maybe at the lower tier of it. They're certainly not in the top tier of teams. But yeah, so you got to go out and let's see how they perform against this Dallas team. And
here's the problem with Seattle that I see. I see Seattle as sort of a mismatch for the Cowboys defensively. The Cowboys play really, really well against man-to-man teams, teams that primarily play man-to-man, like Washington, like what they just did to Washington, and the Giants. Seattle plays zone, and CeeDee Lamb is not nearly effective in zone coverage, right? Because he can beat just about anybody in man-to-man, but he has a hard time finding the empty spaces in zone coverage. Dak Prescott has a hard time reading where people are going in zone coverage.
Interesting.
Not that Seattle's going to beat Dallas, but man, that 8.5-point line seems ridiculous to me, even with the Cowboys at home.
8.5. Wow.
But I can certainly see the Cowboys having some issues with Seattle. Geno Smith's a little bit hurt, and we saw how valuable he is to this team last week when he went out of the game. Drew Lock came in and spared everybody to death.
Yeah.
Geno Smith had to come back in the game for the final drive like Superman out there, like, coming in to save the day, and literally drove the team down with no thumb and had him in place to kick a game-winning field or game-tying field goal, and they missed it. But, that shows how valuable he is to that team.
So how's his thumb this week? What are we hearing?
He's missed practice, but he's a go for sure. I don't know how if he's not 100%.
Yeah. That's a tough injury for a quarterback. That's a really, really tough injury for the quarterback. All right, so we got lots to get to today, and as I mentioned, we're going to talk to Corey Long. We'll do all college football here in the next segment. We'll talk Gators, Knowles, all types of recruiting as well. Me sneak in a little USF. Boy, I pissed off the USF fans yesterday. As I want to do. Well, we're giving them tremendous amounts of credit for this season, and and Alex Scolish did a fantastic job winning 6 games. But there's a lot of USF fans that are acting like, they just went through, the gauntlet to get to the bowl. They beat a lot of 3-9 teams and lost to some 4-8 teams. So, but from where you were, it's tremendous progress. And they need to, everybody's like, oh, I'm glad we didn't hire Dion. I'm like, okay, now hold on now. You think Dion with Shador and all the talent that he would have brought to USF would have won more than 6 games with that schedule? Yeah.
The roster would look completely different too. Not even the same team.
So, and that's not to take anything away from Alex. He did a fantastic job. But I think, sometimes the USF fans get a little crazy. And God, it would be so awesome to see them play UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl in Raymond James Stadium. That would pack it.
It'd be a fun game.
It'd be a fun game, and you'd have a lot of fans sampling your product. And God forbid you get blown out, but go have it. Even you don't have to win it. Just have a competitive, entertaining game against UCF, and that's how you get fans back, man. That's how you get them in the stadium. And USF is not going to progress until they can start filling Raymond James or their on-campus stadium. They're just not, because you can't, in the transfer portal world, you can't keep great players when they can go other places and play immediately at full stadiums with more NIL money. It's damn near impossible to do. And this is why the fans have got the people like, well, we're not going to show up until they win. Well, then you ain't going to, the program won't progress.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You got to help it out. All right, quick break. When we come back, Corey Long's going to join us. We'll talk about FSU's chances. Boy, are they getting ripped by Kirk Herbstreit, Paul Feinbaum, everybody in the world doesn't want to see FSU in the game. We'll talk about that and much more. When we come back, we'll talk about some Bolts because Corey covers the Bolts as well. 3-minute break here. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've been in an accident or if you had your car totaled, they do a great job of getting great settlements. And Scott Jeeves is a local guy, not like these big national firms that aren't going to call you back. He's local. He's got an office in Tampa and in St. Petersburg, spends times at both of them. So you can go meet with him if you're local in St. Pete or in Tampa, and he will talk to you personally and represent you vigorously. Local guys, we always say here, keep it local. You'll get better results, and you'll get a call back as well. That is the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Get your testosterone right, your nutrition right, get your immune system right, get someone who will spend more than 15 minutes with you as your doctor. That is Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and Chris Lugo. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Corey Long because he's got to get over to morning skate.
He's in the building.
Yes, he is. What's up, Corey Long? How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How you doing?
Fantastic. Come on, the Knowles are still undefeated. I'm
Absolutely.
but
It was
going to get left out of the playoff.
a solid 224-yard performance on Saturday against that mighty Gators defense.
Did Jaden Daniels do that in the first quarter against that Gator defense?
I think so. I think it was like the first two drives.
Yeah, man. After the game, I actually even put it on Twitter. I'm like, after watching the Knowles, it's a great win, but I'm not sure they're playoff worthy with Tate Rodemaker at quarterback playing the way he played. Now, he steps up and plays better against Louisville. I'll certainly change my tune. But, Dan Orlovsky said it this morning. He says, I want to put them in. They've earned it. But, man, watching that team against the Gator defense with Tate Rodemaker, and I'm trying to be objective here, and I got to kind of agree with them. What do you think?
I look at it in two ways. Is that, and this is something I actually put out on the X Files yesterday, is that Florida State, the Travis injury is legitimate, and it certainly is a big deal. But let's not act like they don't have a first round draft pick at pass rusher. They have a first round draft pick at wide receiver. Johnny Wilson's probably a second day or early third day guy. They've got draftable prospects at DT. They're going to love it's going to get drafted. Linebacker, defensive back, running back. So, so there's a lot of parts there that make up the team. They're not. I understand that they're a little worried about another TCU. Well, this isn't TCU. No. It's, as I like to say, it's the committee's fault that TCU was put in that position last year. They should have been the number 4 team and played Georgia and got beaten 65-7 in the semifinals. But they didn't want an Ohio State-Michigan semifinal, or they figured they were just going to arrogantly get a Georgia-Michigan final, and they didn't do it right. So, they didn't
screwed
do
up.
it.
You got it on the Big Ten to win a game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's on them.
Yeah.
But
does this matter? How much does this game? I think, FSU needs style points against Louisville. I know many of my brethren hate me for saying that, but I got to see Tate Rodemaker go out there and roll up a little bit. And this Louisville defense they're not bad.
They've got a legit NFL first round pass rusher on that squad. I mean, they're not a style point team. They're not running a backup quarterback out there. They're not running a coach that doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there. They've got you might not have a style point situation. You got to get a win. A win will be fine. They're not going to let them. They're not going to let them not in with a win. I mean, I think that's something that they've all begrudgingly, as the Alabama apologist tour goes into full effect, they've all, begrudgingly admit is that, Florida State's 13-0. They're getting in. I'm not concerned about that.
I am. I with the rhetoric that's out there, I'm concerned about it. And I think the TCU situation last year, although we've debunked that, I agree, it is legitimate. So we'll see where it goes. I would just like to see Rodemaker play well.
Here's the flip side. Last week against Florida, 5 million viewers. That's the rhetoric that makes the difference.
Yeah, they're a high profile team. They're not like TCU in that regard as well.
Yeah.
What did you think of the game? Where did you come away with thinking about Florida State and about the state of the Florida program vis-a-vis, Trey Wilson not going to coach his hands away, Lions spitting on a player? I mean, it was not a good look for the Gator program.
The double targeting I thought was my favorite though.
The double targeting.
How do I choose one guy is my question. How do I have both of those guys get each other? And the funny thing is, you could see it coming as he's running. I'm sitting here. I'm at Bergs with a friend of mine. I'm like, oh boy, this might not end well for Tate Rodemaker. I know he's not going to get the first down. I know he's going to slide, and just two guys would decide they were going to spear him. And I think the just getting to Florida first is you just got too many guys going into business for themselves. I mean, who the hell spits on somebody? What are we doing? What are we, and that's, and it's just, and why are those people in your program? And, Trey Wilson slapping that one doesn't bother me as much. It's, you're in the kind of the heat of the moment. There's a lot of adrenaline running through. It's the other stuff, because those two things, in essence, those two personal fouls and ejections lost the game for them. It's 12-0 win.
Yeah.
On him. And if they they get those free yards, they get a touchdown, then they come right out to start the second half, get another touchdown. So that's a 14-point play right there.
Yeah,
and,
good point.
It's you're down 17-15. Your offense hasn't done much, but you're going to have a little under 4 minutes to get another chance, and you spear the guy, and you would have been off the field. You would have been off the field if you did nothing. If you just stood there, you'd have been off the field.
Right.
But instead, you speared them, they score a touchdown, you lose. Losers do loser things, and that's why 5-7. And you got to start. They 5-17 does 5-7 things. That's why they're not going to a bowl.
Is Billy safe?
Go out to Splitsville.
Yeah, exactly. Is Billy safe?
Oh yeah, he's got a big time quarterback coming in, so that that helps him out. And actually, probably getting Graham Mertz to come back for another year, so he's pretty secure because he's got major recruits at a position of one and a position of need. But he's safe for 1 year. It's a 1 year safety. He can't roll out. He can't do this again. He's got to get
next year. That schedule next year is brutal.
Schedule's brutal. He's got to get some coaches in there. He's got to get an offensive coordinator. He's got to get game management guys. He's got to get a lot of things. In essence, I think I'll tell you this. I think Billy Napier is better than what he's shown so far, but what he's shown isn't sufficient at all.
Yeah. All right, I know you got to get going over to morning skate. Your thoughts on the Bolts road trip where they dropped 2 in a row, scoring 2 goals? I'm not in panic mode.
Me neither. I thought Arizona was a rough game. I mean, they should have won that game. They did a lot of good things. Just Stamkos missing open net. Sometimes, especially in back-to-backs, you have that. One more thing in college football. Ryan Day is awful. Just want to say he's just awful.
Agreed.
He's awful. Honestly, or I could do. What is he? 56-7. You or I would be what? 54. You and I what? 54-9 with that with the team that he's fielded. Like the best roster in college football last year lost 2 games. This year they just he's going for field goals on 4th and 2s late in the half. It's like. What do you know what you have on your roster, you moron? Yeah,
it's crazy. He's so timid. Yeah, with a field goal kicker that's never made a 50-yarder. It's challenging. I'm not gonna try to get this any closer. We got, let's just give him it cost me a first half bet. Yeah, if they'd have gotten it close, I'm a little biased.
Yeah. And on the other side, you got interim coach going for 4th downs, doing halfback passes, not giving a whatever in a 2 versus 3 game.
Right.
And the coach is supposed to have the advantages out there doing this stuff. That guy, you know what? Ohio State's they're going to be exactly where they are. He doesn't demand enough out of those kids. He doesn't demand a championship effort. He doesn't demand them. They don't do the things that a coach takes on they take on the identity. I mean, players take on the identity of the coach. That's what they take. And that team takes on the identity of him. And it's not enough to win. It's not. Believe me, Urban's watching that game. If you watch the post game, Urban's sitting around there like you wanted to choke him. If he was in front of him, Urban would have killed him.
Yeah.
I've always thought Ryan Day coached to not make a mistake. Like he was afraid he was going to make a mistake.
That's the way Todd Bowles.
That's a mistake. Yeah,
exactly. And Urban's sitting there saying, "Hey," he said, "Like you want to win this game, you got to be an assassin. You got to be ready to cut someone's throat. It ain't there's no time to go out there and be timid."
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work in those big games. Somebody wanted to know if you're one of those guys that wants Texas to jump 3 spots to number 4 if the Noles finish 13-0. I'd say that's a no.
No, I don't think Texas should jump 3 spots over to undefeated. No, Texas? No. I don't want Texas. I don't want anybody to jump.
Alabama's such a they literally lost to Auburn. Come on, if I'm playing defensive back there, they lose to Auburn. Lose to Auburn.
If Dallas Turner doesn't spear Jaden Daniels, he's still scoring on them.
Yes.
Like Jaden Daniels had almost 500 yards of offense in that game when Dallas Turner decided to break his jaw.
Yeah. And Alabama, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Auburn lost by 21 to New Mexico State, and you lost that game.
Yeah.
You have
Listen,
2 losses. Sorry.
I give Alabama a lot of credit. They're 11-1 in a down year. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
They're 11-1 in a down year, but they're not. I don't think they're. There's a team that they've lost to ahead of them on the. But lost to by double digits. They, like I said, they barely beat a 500 Auburn team. They're not a great team. They're a team that I have a lot of respect for the way they have worked. They have figured some things out to get victories, but I think even Nick Saban would tell you this is not a great team, not on the level of his championship teams.
But if
that
they beat
watch them
Georgia,
win in overtime. Watch them win in double overtime next week. You know what's going to happen on Saturday.
If they beat Georgia,
watch them win in double overtime. Just watch it happen. I think Georgia's going to keep. They're going to keep Milroe in the pocket and demand that he beat him as a pocket passer, and that's how they're going to win. They're going to get him to make those mistakes. They're not going to let him go out there and make plays off schedule. Kirby's a little too smart for that at this stage.
I think we're going to see early season Jalen Milroe against Georgia, not what we've seen the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And there is no argument can be made for an undefeated Florida State team to not be in the playoff. Like, I don't care what happens to anybody else.
Not by me, yeah. Like, I don't even think, like I said, I don't think this is a style point game. I think it's a game they legitimately, against a top 15 opponent that probably, the rosters are a little bit more even with the quarterback injury, so they just got to worry about getting one more point than the opposition.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
I hope you're right.
It'll be okay, JP. It'll be okay.
All right.
It'll be
follow
all right.
Corey at Corey Long, CoreyLong. Great follow. Thank you, Corey. And we'll see you tonight.
One more thing, JP.
Yes.
One more thing. When Florida State plays Georgia, you're on your own, though, buddy. That Tate Rodemaker show is going to be Tate Rodemaker show might be in a little trouble.
They ain't beating Georgia with Tate Rodemaker. That's for damn sure. I agree.
At that point, he might want to lend one of his legs to Travis and just see if Travis can work it out. If he can do some magic with one leg being longer than the other.
Bring on Brock Glenn. I like that kid.
I thought they were going to do it. If it was 12-0 at halftime, I thought they were going to do it. Yeah. I really did.
Yeah. That moment was too big for Tate. Hopefully he's better this week.
That safety was cringeworthy. Oh.
It was cringeworthy. Yes, it was Orlovsky worthy. Yes, it was. Yes. All right, partner.
All right, you take care.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. The great Corey Long right there. Told us he had to go early. I'm like, he wants to keep talking. You keep talking, bro. I love it. Yeah.
He just kept going. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tate's a great kid. He's been around for a while, but there's a reason he's been around for a while. If he had the confidence in himself to go, he would have transferred and gone somewhere else. Brock Glenn is a 4-star. He's got a lot of upside. I know if you're Norvell, it's like, I can't go to that kid now in an ACC championship game. He's never played. Tate's came on and won a game at Louisville last year. I thought he did a great job in that game. I really did. I was expecting a lot more from him against Florida.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just, that's a suffocating atmosphere at Florida. It's just different. And, he won't face that this week in Louisville, not even close. It'll be a very partisan FSU crowd, I would think.
Yeah.
Or at least 50-50. So it's not going to be anything like it was at Florida Field, which is one of the most, I'd say, top 5 intimidating atmospheres in college football. And we'll talk to Scott Carter here in a little bit and get his thoughts on what's going on in the Gator camp about that. But just, if you look at the body of work for Florida State, if Jordan Travis were there, it wouldn't even, and they beat Florida, they struggled with Florida, it wouldn't even be a conversation. But he's not. And that's, I think it's a thing. It's a thing. And you look at that team in the first half and down 12-0 to the Gators. I'm sitting there like, this is not a playoff team, not without Jordan Travis. But they have been remarkable in second halves. That's how they beat you. And that is to be considered. This is their strategy. They play a lot of guys in the first half, and they wear you down. And in the third and fourth quarter, you got Peyton and Jared Verse coming off the edge, fresh as daisies, against guys that are tired, and they take over games in second halves. That's how they beat you. Yeah. So, and with the running game, and they beat you with big plays. They have explosive players, and their biggest wins, Trey Benson is ripping off 72-yard runs. Keon Coleman's scoring 3 touchdowns, breaking a punt return in key situations. He's done it in 2 big games. That's how they beat you. And that counts. That all counts on the scoreboard, folks. It's just not about throwing for 500 yards every game. That's not the only way you win games in college football. You can win them with defense. And I think sometimes these teams that win with defense are not given as much, regard as teams that are putting up more points. And I get that, but let's look at situations. Yeah, Michigan's scoring a lot of points and their defense looks great in the Big Ten. I mean, how many great offensive players are in the Big Ten? Not many. Certainly not as many as play for LSU, which FSU beat by 21 points on a neutral field. FSU is 2-0 in the SEC. The ACC is 6-4 against the SEC. So let's not, I'm not sitting here saying the ACC is a better overall football conference, but don't be Paul Feinbaum saying, oh, well, I don't care if they won the ACC as a Power 5 undefeated. I don't care. That means nothing to me. Really? Nothing?
And sometimes he just says stuff that I think he's just saying it to get a reaction. There's no way he believes that. There's no way.
Oh, no, I think he does believe it. I think he's
such an SEC homer that he just thinks
he believes it in his heart. Trust me, he does.
God,
I don't doubt that for a second. Let's go to some of the comments here. Jump in here. Thank you guys for jumping on and commenting from the beginning. James says the hatred for FSU by pundits is outrageous, JP. It's like they all gang up on the Noles and forget they play Elite D. They forget Washington struggled with Stanford, Arizona State, Washington State. All their angst is on FSU. I agree with you. You go back and you look at all these games this week. Washington really struggled with Washington State and needed some very fortuitous plays to go their way to win that game. And FSU, look, I know they won by 9, quote, 2 scores. But, yeah, that was a struggle the whole way. But, again, they close out games in the second half. That's how they do it. Yeah, Christopher Cole sharing the Bucs Nation view, no on Belichick. Yes, this is true. Florio throws spit and prays it sticks. Yeah. Thomas Casper, hands-on Glazers brothers are totally incompatible with control freak Belichick. I don't think the Glazers are that hands-on. I think they do a pretty good job of letting their football people do that. That said, I don't think that's a match at all with Glazers and Belichick. I just don't see it at all. There's really no plausible reason that would happen. I don't see why Florio says it's fascinating. I don't see the fit at all. Like at all.
Yeah.
Bill Long jumps in, said DQ Dan Quinn over Bill Belichick for sure. Yeah, I don't even think that's close. James, great idea, JP, with Quinn and Canales, kind of that Seattle connection. Would love the vibe of that coaching staff. I mean, really would love the vibe of a coaching staff led by those two guys. A lot of energy, a lot of positivity, a lot of creativity. But remember what Tim said. Jerry Jones is not very, and it's probably the reason why Quinn didn't leave last year, right? Because
the last 2 years.
He's been highly sought after by other teams, correct?
Yeah. Yes, the last two off seasons he's been discussed and actually offered interviews that he's turned down because Jerry said, "We'll keep you here. We'll keep you here, DQ."
Yeah, he's probably paying him a lot of money too, right?
Oh yeah.
Nelson Cruz jumps in, says the Bucs need to build a great defense, and we can win with Baker. It's a proven formula in the NFL. Case in point, 49ers, Eagles when they won Super Bowl, Ravens with Dilfer. What do you think? It's plausible. It's plausible. But, the 49ers are getting great quarterback play. They didn't draft him, right? So, but they're getting great quarterback play. They are scoring points. So even though he's not a high draft pick, they have a very effective quarterback, statistically the best in the league. So remember that. It's not like the 49ers are just doing it with defense. They're a great overall roster. They beat you up on both sides of the football. So
I can't have a Nelson Cruz comment on the screen without saying, I still hate you for what you did to the Rangers in the 2011 World Series, Nelson. You should have caught that damn outfield fly ball. All right. This is your fault, but we don't care anymore. We got one.
Are you triggered by the name Nelson Cruz?
I am, dude, every time.
Yeah. It's a great point by James. No one mentions an Knowles D shut down Jaden Daniels. All it's like they forget Auburn's horrible season. Orlovsky said Texas should move to 4 if Texas wins. Yeah, I just don't see that. I mean, Texas beat one at Alabama. It's a quality win. But again, Alabama, and that was Alabama early. That was Jaden Milroe when he was
Week
not
2.
good early. He
Week
was
2.
not good early at all. So that matters. Jaden Daniels has been good since game 1. And Gabe was great last year. So it's not like Jaden Daniels was just learning how to play at LSU. It was second year there, in the offense. That was, that was your good LSU team. So, Now Lonnie's with you on that one, by the way. Nelson Cruz.
Thanks, Lonnie.
But that wall looked painful and poor Nelson had crashed into it. How would you like to have a career like Nelson Cruz has had? Like literally, I mean, from an offensive standpoint, a Hall of Fame resume.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody remembers it. That one moment where you lost the ball in the light. Did he lose it in the lights?
No, he was out of position and he misplayed it. He didn't lose it in the lights. It was outside. He was looking up at the St. Louis sky.
It wasn't even a night game. I don't remember that. I
It
don't
was a
remember
night
the
game,
details.
Oh,
I do remember him. Like I remember saying, "Oh, wow, that's gonna last." That's
we
gonna
had
leave
we had the great Eric Nadel on the network, the longtime radio play-by-play voice of the Texas Rangers, who that game has long stuck with him, and he's had some health issues. He's getting older, and he admitted he's like, after that game and the dive the Rangers took, he's like, I never thought I would be able to call a World Series, winning Rangers game, in my lifetime. And so we asked him, since now they've got one, how do you feel about 2011 and 2010? And he goes, 2010 we were supposed to lose anyway. That was the Giants. They were a much better team. 2011 we were better. He goes, I've never been able to go back and watch Game 6. He goes, I haven't. But now I feel like I can objectively because everybody's told me that's one of the greatest games anybody's ever seen in baseball, most exciting. Yeah. He's like, I feel like I can finally go back and watch it objectively and maybe enjoy it.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, once the scar heals a little bit, and there's nothing like a World Series ointment to put on scars like that or a Super Bowl, that helps ease the pain a lot more. So yeah, we've certainly experienced moments like that here in Tampa Bay. But
sure.
For sports fans, it's like life. It's a lot like life. You can't enjoy the highs unless you've suffered a few lows, right?
And it makes the highs that much better.
Exactly. And remember, and I always tell this to people, remember where you came from. And I talked about this for the last 2 years when Brady was here 3 years. I was like, we're in the moment, folks. Stay in the moment. Do not miss this. Do not start looking ahead. Do not start thinking of the past. Oh, we're cursed. I hate when people talk about that. Like, oh, the Bucs organization is cursed. Tom Brady's never going to come here. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Look at your roster now. Look at your coaching staff. This is why Tom Brady is coming here. He doesn't care. Although, as I told you, he wasn't going to wear the creamsicle. He wasn't going to do it. And he's
really
not that
funny.
dumb. Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, let's don't start romanticizing about the past. Okay. The past, how do you romanticize about being the worst franchise in sports by a winning percentage? And that 14-year stretch is the reason why. You were wearing the creamsicles, and now you want to bring that shit back. And every time you bring it back, what happens? You lose. So stop.
The Cowboys
put it up on your wall.
Cowboys just had a curse broken, so I may be wrong about the Super Bowl now. The Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl now.
What was the curse?
They just had a curse. Jimmy Johnson's going into the Ring of Honor at AT&T
that's
Stadium.
right. Yeah, we had the Doug Williams curse. Yeah.
Since Jimmy left, we had other than the 95 Super Bowl, which was Barry Switzer coaching it with Jimmy's team.
Right.
They've been crap, and everybody's like, oh, Jimmy put a curse. Jimmy put he's from Port Arthur, Texas. They do voodoo down there. That's adjacent to New Orleans. So apparently that curse is over.
Oh, you got to take care of those. All right, quick break. When we come back, Scott Carter will join us from FloridaGators.com. Gator Nation is in an uproar, and I think many of them want Billy Napier gone. I know they want him gone. I don't see it happening for the reasons Corey Long mentioned. We're going to go to the source, FloridaGators.com. Scott Carter will join us next with the Jeeves Law Group Gator Report, and we'll find out what's happening in Gator Nation. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, well, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. We are brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. They recently saved me $1,000 on my auto insurance, and hopefully they can do the same for you. And just call them at 813-877-7799. I want to make sure I sent Scott the right link, partner. So
that's all right. Gotcha.
Just had to send it to him. So and
we can vamp for a little bit
and entertain the people while because I can't multitask anymore. It's way past my.
Well, here I got something for you then, and you can chime in on this. I think we've talked about this a little bit. The Thursday night Amazon Prime the Prime Video football games, I guess. And then we got a game coming up that's only going to be on Peacock. I forget who that is. I forget who that is, but it's only available on Peacock, like the subscription. Like you have to, I guess you have to subscribe to Amazon, right? Like I'm an Amazon Prime guy. I have been for years, so I automatically get that. But I guess if you don't subscribe to Amazon Prime, you don't get the Prime channel. I guess that's how that works. And I subscribe to Peacock because I'm a huge IndyCar fan, and most of their freaking races are on Peacock. So I pay the $2.99 a month, and I get all of the. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Parks and Rec, and you used to be able to only get it.
God, I love that show.
I just like my one of my guilty pleasures, dude. I watch it all the time. I loop that, and I loop Bob's Burgers. Like that's all I do.
I've never been I watch Bob's Burgers a lot, but like Parks and Rec, one of the best, I would say, and people may call me crazy, but I would say one of the top 5 sitcoms of all time.
What it has to be. Just the writing's amazing. The storylines were incredible, and the characters. Ron Swanson's my hero.
Oh my God. One of the best characters in the history of TV. Sitcoms. Oh my God. So
we
good.
Should do that one show. We need to rank the TV sitcom characters.
Ooh, characters.
Like it's got to be generational, right? You can't just lump even going back to the 50s in with the ones from the 90s. Like it's almost got to be the best from the 50 to 70 and then 70 to 90 and then 90.
You're right. Yeah, because they're so different. Like it's so different. Like you go back and watch some sitcoms now, you will hear some words and some phrases that you're like, oh my God. Like it's crazy to think that they were more daring and edgy back in the 70s. Like you go and watch All in the Family, for instance.
I was raised on All in the Family.
Yeah,
dude.
Me too. Archie Bunker and Meathead, who's clearly more than ever a meathead.
Who has become a huge meathead? Yeah,
a huge meathead. Yeah.
Anytime I see him post something on Twitter, I just say typical meathead. I always reply.
Unbelievable. The dude has no. I mean, anyway. But that show was so far ahead of its time. I go back to, MASH. MASH was one of the great sitcoms. When you want to talk about great characters, great characters in MASH. Seinfeld, obviously, has
Cheers. I was a big Cheers guy.
Fantastic. What other? I mean, there were silly ones back, that were, like Three's Company,
Happy Days.
Happy Days. Those are kind of hokey.
Man, as a kid, I wanted to be Jack Tripper though every day.
Yeah, didn't we all?
God Almighty.
Oh, Suzanne Summers, we love you.
See, I was a Janet guy. I loved.
Either one. Hey, speaking of that, Gilligan's Island. Ginger and Marianne.
Marianne. I'm a Marianne guy.
I could go either way.
For fantastic. Sure.
There we go. Both fantastic. Sure. Yeah, but Marianne she had that girl next door vibe that was
those pigtails, whatever they call that.
Speaking of great characters, Thurston Howell the Third.
Dude, did you know how? So he was like old, right? Like he was the old man. Do you know how old he was? The actor Jim Backus, when that show ended, he was like 54.
Really?
When the show ended.
Well, old people were so much older back. Like 50. It's the things like 55 was so old back then.
It's like 80 now.
Yeah, it's like 80. Like it's just the way they carried themselves, the way they were, and like now it's just not that way. It's
I look at pictures of my parents. My dad was born in 30. My mom was born in 31. And I look at pictures of my parents from when I was a kid. And I was like, God, you look like you're 80. And he was like 38, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, the family photo that we used to have on the wall of my dad with this receding hairline and, that I've adopted so wonderfully. Thanks, Bob. Right. I'm like, oh, what are you, like 55? No, you weren't. You were like 35 in that picture. I'm like, crazy. Holy crap.
And watching old TV shows from the 70s, even like one of my favorite shows is Ironside. I loved Ironside.
Yes, Raymond Burr.
Man.
Raymond Burr. Rockford Files. The Rockford.
I love the Rockford. But see, some of those guys, when you're watching them on TV, they look like they're 60, 70 years old. And then I go like IMDb and see how old the actor was. He was like 32.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
Garner,
golly. I love James Garner.
Yeah, there was some great shows. Hogan's Heroes.
Loved it. Green Acres.
I know nothing. So Green Acres.
Loved Green Acres, man.
Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're showing our age now.
No, we are. We got to rank the shows and the TV characters at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Scott is having a trouble with the link or what's going on with him. I'll text him. See what's.
If he wants me to call him, I can call him.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll just text him.
We produce on the air here.
Yeah, no problem. But the Gators are such an interesting situation right now. And I think, and one of the big reasons that, I think I felt like you had to show patience was because of the recruiting class that he's got coming in. We talked a lot about that. The quarterback, Lagway's got a great quarterback coming in. But when you look at the schedule next year, I mean, they could improve their talent level. They could go into the portal and get, 3 or 4 or 5 stars and still only win 6 games next year. We talk about the schedule. Let me bring it up here. It's unbelievable. They're playing UCF out of schedule. I think they're out of conference is UCF, Miami, and Florida State. if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Jesus. And UCF's going to be better in year 2, obviously, with the Big 12. So they open at home against Miami on the 31st. Then they got Samford. Then they got A&M coming to Gainesville. Then they have UCF in Gainesville. So your first 3 games are Miami, or 3 of the first 4, A&M and UCF. And A&M with a new coach, new system, new everything. So they'll be saving everything probably for that game with Elko, who's a damn good coach. Then you're at Tennessee. Then you got Georgia. Then you're at FSU November 30th. Oh, they don't have these other games already scheduled. So this is the rest of their schedule. So they're at FSU. Then they got Kentucky at home, LSU at home, Kentucky and LSU at home. Jesus. Ole Miss at home. At Mississippi State, Starkville. So one of their easy teams, you got to go to a place that's hard to play. And you're at Texas. Texas, the Longhorns. Holy shit. Like Miami, A&M, UCF, Florida State, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas. I mean, Jesus. Steve Spurrier and Danny Werfel and Tim Tebow. And you might win 8 games in that gauntlet.
That's going to be rough, man. Except for A&M, that'll be a knockover game.
Yeah. Is A&M? What do they got coming back? They got Max coming back, right? And Jake's coming back.
No, Max is gone. He just committed to. He entered the transfer portal earlier in the week.
He really
he's committed to North Carolina. He's going to play for Mac.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's in Carolina. Hadn't heard from Jake. Jake may be hanging around. Of course, Connor Wiegman's our guy. He'll be the starter next year. Elko's supposed to be bringing some of his staff with him. Of course, Petrino, the offensive coordinator, is gone. He just took the same position up at Archie. So he's going back to Archie.
That's interesting. A lateral move.
Well, Jimbo brought him here, and Jimbo's gone. Elko was not going to keep him here anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Elijah Robinson, the interim coach, he should remain on staff, probably as the defensive coordinator. Don't know who the OC will be yet, unless Elko wants to bring his guy from Duke. I don't remember his name. And then Riley Leonard, the Duke quarterback, the highly coveted Riley Leonard and the injured Riley Leonard. There's rumors he may come to A&M, but there's no room for him here, man. We got Jalen Henderson. We got Connor Wiegman. But, yeah, so it's very early in the stages here of who's going to be here, who's gone. The big speculation is our number 1 recruit from the class of 22, Evan Stewart, the wide receiver, may transfer out, and he may go to Texas because that's where he was initially committed before the Aggies stole him. So there's always been rumors of him leaving to go back to Texas.
Well, this is interesting because, throw in the NIL deals, these NIL deals, and I'm starting to delve into this world of NIL for business reasons and other reasons. And boy, is it a murky world. There are, so if you could take an NIL deal at A&M, like this receiver did, what's his name? That you just mentioned from A&M. Obviously, yeah, that's a significant NIL deal. Is that a 4-year deal? Is it a 1-year deal? How does that work? I mean, obviously it's got to be a 1-year deal if he's transferring, or maybe it's not. Maybe they gave him a large upfront payment. And now, is A&M going to be pissed off now? You got boosters giving money to players and then they go out and now they're going to go to your rival. Right. Well, that's not going to sit well with a lot of your boosters who paid the money, Right. So, that's a murky world. So where's, I don't want to.
You just wonder when these
people,
when these NIL companies sign the deals with these players and they're location specific to where the school is, like if it's a College Station jewelry company or whatever, is that NIL deal contingent on, this is only good while you're at A&M. If you leave, this deal is null and void and you owe us money back that we've already paid you.
Yeah. And how's that going to work? They give it back the money. I don't see that happening.
I already spent it.
Yeah, exactly. Money's gone. Sorry.
Yeah, so sue me.
Yeah. That's why this NIL deal is so. I just subscribed to a industry letter with NIL. So I'm starting to learn all about these different things. And what I'm learning is it's wild, wild west. And there's a lot of people jumping into this space for obvious reasons. There's a lot of money going. I mean, basically, when you think about this, college football has in Division I has 3 times as many teams, right, as the NFL.
Right.
This is turning into an NFL model without a union, without collective bargaining, so no salary cap, literally zero control. Can you imagine? I mean, you'd love it as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Can you imagine Jerry Jones having no spending control over what players that he could bring, to his team? That would be like the 49ers back in the day when DeBarlo was, buying up everything and running his organization in such an incredible way and taking his entire team and everybody to Hawaii. And everybody loved to play in San Francisco because of the ownership group. It was amazing. So, I'm knocking them. I'm like, yeah, that's how you run it. When you have unlimited funds almost, that's how you do it. So you're getting into the situation in college football where there's absolutely zero control over NIL. I mean, zero. There's no limits to the money. There's no, contracts can be kept secret. We don't know what a lot of this is.
And I think that'll change, though. That's going to change eventually. They'll start policing it. The players will unionize as they should.
Yeah, they
should.
I'll
tell you this. We've worked very closely with I won't mention the school, but with a women's college basketball team. And we're dealing with their NIL partner.
Yeah.
And, dude, the NIL partners, when when teams deal with NIL, whatever payments, they don't go from the company to the player, right? They go from the company to the NIL collective for that school or that program, and then they get dispersed to the players. Those NIL collectives take a huge chunk of the money. They're basically the agents.
Yeah, I was wondering about this. Like, how much is getting to the players?
When so-and-so signs a $10 million NIL deal, they're going to see 5 or 6. I mean,
that's awful. That's all. But that needs to be that needs to be taken care of right away.
And that's one of the things that Congress wants to change, right?
Yeah, that money there should not be another guy take another bunch of people, rich dudes in satin suits, taking it, 40% of this. We don't need any more of that. We've done that in college football forever.
Yep.
All right.
Illegally.
Illegally. Yeah. Let's be done with that and have the money go directly to the players. That's ridiculous.
Yep. Work with it like an agent, right? And the player agrees to that percentage. Okay, if you're going to go shop my services, I will cut you in for 8%, 10%, 12%, whatever it is. Lee Steinberg, come, sell my services, and it's agreed upon by the player, and it's controlled, and there's a contract for it. It's not how it's working.
And the marketplace, is at work here. So I can shop myself around to an agent. Hey, you want to take 5%? This guy's taking 3%. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And then you'll find plenty of agents that'll work for 3%. But if you have a institutional control where they can take 40, 50, 60% and there's no other place to go, well, then that's bullshit. That should not be the case.
Yeah. And these NIL collectives were the companies or the individuals who were fighting so hard for the NIL and for that institution to come into place because they knew they'd be making as much as the kids were. And I'm all for the kids making money. Look, it's long overdue. I get it. I've always thought they should have been paid for especially name, image, and likeness for what they're supposedly getting paid for, right?
Right.
It's BS that a school can make millions of dollars, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars selling a Johnny Manziel jersey, and he's got to go sign autographs illegally for $50 a piece under the table to pay his work he did because he was fucking wealthy anyway. But you know what I mean. So
he
they deserve it. They deserve it.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, dude, his family's so freaking rich.
The documentary, dude. The documentary.
I know what the documentary said.
The documentary said, well, pre, him going to the NFL and all that stuff.
Right.
Said that they made that up because he was walking around with all this cash and driving all these cars that they had to make up a myth that he came from oil money. His parents
were come from oil money.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because I knew the
not according to the documentary, and I believe everything I see on Netflix.
Yeah, no.
No, so they did come from money. Yeah. That's true. You sure?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, because I thought Johnny actually I thought said that, or his business partner, whatever that kid's name was, said we made that up so we could walk around with money.
My dad worked with the Manziels back in the 60s.
Well, there you go. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, now, whether or not they have money now, I would think, but no, the family came from money. So
what kind of business were they in?
Just oil
business. No.
Yeah.
Well, that would work. That would definitely.
I mean, my dad was in oil and he never had any money, but not like ownership. He just worked for other people that had money. I'm like, Dad, why couldn't we been on the other end of that? Like,
you got to get a
people
piece of the
working for
business.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Dallas watching the Ewings on Dallas. Why can't we be the
Oh
Ewings?
right. My dad was a civil engineer and was the city engineer of Hollywood, Florida, growing up.
Wow.
And his next door neighbors, our neighbors in our neighborhood, was a guy by the name of Wayne Huizenga. Who was started this, who was starting his trash company.
Yep.
And asked my dad to be his business partner. And my dad was like, "Hey, look, I'm a city engineer at Hollywood. I'm Caltech educated. I'm not driving a freaking trash truck." He's like, we're not going to do it. We're not going to have to do it for long, but we're just starting it up. And he's like, "Nah, no, thank you."
Dude. Ever heard of Waste Management?
I could have been a co-owner of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad. Jesus. Yeah,
man, you wouldn't have fired Shula, would you?
Hell no. I certainly would have hired Jimmy Johnson. Jackass.
63-7. That's all I can say. His last game as a Dolphins coach.
Yeah, and that
in the
was
playoffs,
Marino's,
right?
That was Marino's last game too.
Yeah, that was a playoff loss to the Jags.
I think so. Yeah. That was the
63.
week after they went. They squeezed into the playoffs and they went and they beat, like, Marino beat I think it was Seattle or something on one leg, and then it was like a huge upset in the first round. And then they went to Jacksonville and Brunell and Keenan McCardell and that whole group hung 63 on them. I think that was that team, right?
Yeah, it was. Speaking of coaches on the hot seat, not really hot seat, but did you see the interview that Sean Payton did after their fifth win in a row?
No.
Was it 29-12? It was scoregami. 29-12 was a scoregami hit, right? So one of the reporters in the reporter pool in the post game was like, "Hey, 29-12, it was scoregami. How you follow that?" And Peyton's like, "What did you just say? Scoregami. What is that?" He had no idea what it was, never heard of it. And so the guy explains, on the video, and he's like, Sean Payton's like, "There's people that track that? Like, that's a thing?" And he's like,
I don't know what
12.
I hate to admit this, but I don't know what the
You
hell
know
you're
what
talking
scoregami is?
No, I have no idea.
Scoregami is a website that tracks every single score in the history of the NFL. Okay?
Never been a 29-12?
Has never happened in the history of the NFL.
It sounded like a very unique score. Yeah.
And there's been other, every year, every game, if there's a scoregami, they'll throw it out there. Say, "Hey, scoregami happened. This has never happened before." It's fun, right? It's a lot of fun. And they do other trends and things, right?
Is there wagering on this? There must be.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I don't know that side of it, but there has to be. There has to be. But what's funny is in the interview, so Peyton's like, "So that's never happened. This 29-12 has never happened." Then the reporter goes, "No, and neither is 70-20. That was scoregami too." And Peyton goes, "Next question." He said it with a smile on his face. He wasn't mad or anything, but
it's funny because that 70 burger is like such a stain, and it shouldn't be. Because I even said it. I even said it early in the season. I said, after the 70 burger, I was like, you know what? I still think that Sean Payton's going to figure this out. He's too good a coach. Good a coach. Russell Wilson still has a little something in him. They got some good players on this roster. This just doesn't seem like, this is going to just circle the drain. I don't think so. Now, I did not predict this 5 wins in a row, but it just goes to show you, man. There and you know what? Have you heard some of these interviews from the Broncos? What they talk about?
Yeah.
And what do they talk about? Maniacal attention to detail. Maniacal attention to detail. That's Sean Payton. And, when you talk, and it's one of the things, I talk to great players, Hall of Famers, and blah 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 blah. I always ask these questions like, what? I really try to drill down, like, what made you different? What made your team different? Don't give me the cliche answers. I don't want to hear that shit. Dig down and think about the teams that you were on that sucked and the teams that were good. And I'm telling you, man, almost 90, maybe even 100% of these players come back to details. Derek Brooks is a guy that we'll talk about. Rondé talks about this. They're so maniacal about the details, and that's what matters. And when you look at this Todd Bowles team, it just reeks of lack of detail. It just use my timeouts on defense before the half. Like
You can see it in the gameplay. Yeah.
All right, I got other things to worry about. Yeah, the game planning. It's like, we have these breakdowns. It's like these are not breakdowns. This is coaching. They're attacking your players that have lack of discipline and aren't on the details. They know the guys that aren't on the details. You turn one way instead of the other. They know this, and in key situations, they take. It's like Mike Evans running. It's maddening. Mike Evans running down the sideline. He doesn't look back for the ball till he's at the 7-yard line. And you gotta locate the ball, man, on the details. You gotta turn your head and locate the ball. And that doesn't even sound like a detail, but Mike has issues with that all the time. Running precise routes. You've got to put your foot in the ground at 17 yards, not 16 and a half. Brady was maniacal about that stuff. Yeah. Because it matters. In a game at this level, it matters. And so, if you've ever seen like Sean Payton work with Drew Brees on these drills, where Sean, and if you've ever seen the video of this, Drew Brees would go out into the indoor facility on Fridays or on Saturday mornings. And he would literally go through all the game plan, all the plays on the sheets. He would call them out in his head and he would mock it. You would see him like taking the snap, looking one way, pumping this way, and going over. Like he had to go through the entire script, the entire game plan, like 3 or 4 times until it was just rote memory. And that was something that Sean Payton and Drew Brees worked on who else does that? Who else is on the details like that? And you knew at some point, and even the Broncos players talk about it. It's like when you first get here, it's like, detail, whatever. And then you start seeing it, play out in losing, and then you start seeing it play out in winning, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is the level you have to be at to win Super Bowls.
Yeah, and look at Russell Wilson. Look at the season he had, the season the Broncos had last year under Nathaniel Hackett, right?
Right.
Russell Wilson was not paying any attention to details because he had an office upstairs. He had an entourage. He had all of these distractions, right? Who cares about details? I'm going to go out and play my game. We're just going to win. Well, it doesn't work that way. Sean Payton comes in. What does he do? The first thing he does, Russell, you no longer have an office on the coach's floor. Russell, your entourage is out of here, okay? You're a player. You're the quarterback. You're the leader of the team on the field. I'm the leader of the team off the field. No more of this BS. You're going to start paying attention to what's going on. And you know what? Paying attention to detail. And then look what happens. It was a quick turnaround. You look at the games they've won on this 5-game winning streak, JP. Green Bay, and they're not terrible. Nope. Kansas City, Buffalo, Minnesota, and Cleveland. 4 of those teams are going to the playoffs.
That's right. It's no joke.
Those are quality wins after you started 0-3 and 1-5,
and had a 70 burger hung up on you. Look at that! Look at that defense now. Look at that defense now. A different deal. Coaching freaking matters in this league. Look at the Bucs. Look at the Bucs. Just in 1 year last year, we talked about it all year long. It's like, wow, what a difference! What a difference! And then this year, it's just it's such bad football. It's such bad football. You want to talk about lack of details, lack of attention to detail, coverage busts every game, stupid penalties, dumb mistakes, like time and time again. That's their culture. Yeah. It's your culture, and you know what? You go out and you watch them practice in training camp and you say to yourself, I just look at it and I go, guys make mistakes. It's, are coaches going nuts? But no, it's soft. Everything about it is soft.
It's almost like they have the attitude, well, look, we're not really expected to win right now, so it's okay if we don't.
Right.
So it's okay. It's okay if we don't win this one because no one thinks we're going to anyway, and we'll just try to get better next week.
And when you hear your quarterback say it, and Baker spoke yesterday, and he's like, yeah, when he says, I'm going to take care of my own business and try to get pissed off and bring as many people as I can with you, it's like, that's just literally, and I know we didn't mean it this way. I know we didn't mean it this way, but that's just like saying, well, the coaches ain't going to do it, so I got to.
Somebody's got to, yeah,
right.
And that's a leader. That shows you what a leader he is. He doesn't tolerate it.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's why I look at some of the men on this team and I say, these are some really good players. They got some really good players on this team. Maybe they can make a run. Not with this coaching staff. And it's one of the reasons I would fire Bowles now, because Bowles making decisions, first of all, he's not going to change anything. So number one. Number two, he's making decisions that he thinks are going to help him win this week. The Bucs need to make decisions that are going to help him win next year.
Yeah.
And that means shuffling personnel, trying people in different places, maybe getting a look at Kyle Trask on a week where Baker's ankle's probably not 100%. These are not decisions that Bowles is going to make, but these are decisions that the team needs to make moving forward. Because this year, you take your cap charge. You hope to be in the division, and I know you're a game out. Don't be fooled. That's fool's gold. That's fool's gold. You're a game out, but you're not doing anything. You're not going anywhere. You gotta cut bait right now. Get an interim coach in there and tell him what to do. Put Nick Leverett in. Matt Filer's not the future of this organization. Maybe we put Leverett in at center. Try him just some different places. Young players, more young, but get Devin White the hell out of there. Todd Bowles is never going to do that. Put Servassier Dennis in when Levante David comes back. These are decisions that Bowles ain't going to make because he's still trying to survive, and he's never going to be a great head coach. He's just not. It's not. That ship has sailed. So let's move on. Let's move on and start thinking about the future and playing for the future. You never know. These guys might be better. It might help you win games. And first and foremost, it's going to send a message that mediocrity is not tolerated anywhere in the building. And that starts at the head coaching position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a break. Brian Bradley's going to join us live from the morning skate. Sid the Kid in the pen. I guess he ain't a kid anymore, right?
Kid anymore, man.
That's right. The Penguins are in town. Always fun to have these type of players on the ice. We'll see it tonight. So we'll join with Brian Bradley here live from the morning skate when we come back. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. It's the holiday shopping season, folks. No better place than the Gold and Diamond Source. The greatest selection, the greatest, and we want to keep it local. So why go to a mall and go to some national jewelry store when you want to go to the local folks that do so much in our community? We'll give you better prices. We'll give you better customer service, are honest. You know exactly what you're going to get because they ain't going anywhere. It's Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Stores. Know where you're buying, what you're buying, and that's always at the Golden Diamond Source. All right, back at 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. We're going to talk a little hockey with our good friend Brian Bradley, the Bolts' first All-Star and leading scorer, joining us live from the morning skate as he is wont to do. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Good, JP Peterson. What's up, buddy? You got the morning skate. Watching the Pittsburgh Penguins on the ice now. Not a lot of guys are out there right now.
None of the stars are out there?
No. You know what? Both teams pretty well had everybody resting this day. The Lightning saw the Lightning skate this morning, and none of the big guys were on the ice except, well, we'll talk about him in a second, but, you know, Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, Hedman, all those guys were all out. And then Pittsburgh I'm watching right now, and they only have 6 guys on the ice, so they have really, except their extra guys, none of their team skating. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Carlson, all those guys, except for the goalies are probably in tonight. One of them's playing here. I don't know who's who. But, you know, it should be a good night. Really looking forward to tonight's game. And the reason I'm looking forward to tonight, we get to see the big cat, Andre Vasilevsky, back in action tonight, JP. First time at home all year. Played a couple road games, but you know what? Everybody's going to be excited to see Vazzy in net for the first time since the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a while, and we saw him on the road, and I thought he played pretty well, especially at Carolina. I don't, you know, in the other loss to the Avalanche, he got hung out to dry a couple of times, as this defense has been doing most of the year. So I thought he played pretty well. How do you think he looked those first 2 games?
Oh, you know, and I thought he played really well. I mean, our record's 10-8. I mean, you know, the Arizona game, Johansson played, but I mean, you know, that the goalie for played really well for Phoenix to beat us. But I think Vazzy overall did, you know, for only playing 2 games and not really playing much in training camp, an exhibition game in training camp. I mean, he looked really sharp. So it'll be fun to see him play tonight. As you know, the first game here in Amalie, in front of a packed house. I mean, you know, against Pittsburgh, they're fighting too. They're 10-10. We're 10-8. So it's a big game tonight for both teams. I mean, Pittsburgh lost the other night, I think, in Nashville 3-2 in overtime, and we're coming off a couple losses to Colorado and then to lose to Phoenix. You didn't have a great road trip, a dad's road trip, as they would say. So at the end of the day, we need to have a big bounce back game tonight and go from there.
Yeah, I thought, you know, Vassy played well, but this defense, as our good friend Bobby the Chief Taylor pointed out on this show yesterday, is 27th in defense goals against this year, which is very unlightning-like. What are your thoughts on what's breaking down defensively for this team right now?
Well, we're just, you know, turning over the puck, making a lot of mistakes in our back end, you know, and that just can't happen. You know what? The defense has to be better, and, you know, but it also comes from the forwards. You got to have support down low. You can't leave your defenseman high, but, you know, we're making decisions behind the net. It doesn't matter if it's Hedman and Sergachev or, you know, some are young guys, perfect. You got to make good outlet passes to your forwards to get out of the zone. And sometimes we're getting caught behind the net, making a ring around pass to the other team, or just dumping it in D to D and getting caught that way. So I think we got to be better in our own zone, but it starts with not just the defenseman, it starts with everybody. The goalie can make a good outlet pass to his defenseman, and then it goes all the way up. And same as the forward, they got to be back for support. it's a 5 or 6 man unit on the ice, just not 2.
No, I agree. And, I know we've gone to kind of a new defensive system and they're doing some different things. Hopefully, we're in more of a transition for that and it gets better. I've heard some guys talk about communication as well. And with Vasilevsky, the defense and just the core players have been around him for so long that they have great communication, signals and things like that they're used to playing in certain ways. Talk a little bit about that, like how you play in front of a goaltender matters. Like in certain situations, you expect your defenseman to do this Vasi wants to see the shot, et cetera, et cetera. Talk a little bit about how that works and how hopefully this can improve.
Well, it definitely is a factor in terms of, like just think of it. Most teams in the NHL, guys, they have like 2 goalies. A lot of the times they play 2 goalies. They'll play like one goalie like 40, 50 games, the other one 30 games. But Vazzy usually plays majority of the games, just like right. Patrick Waugh or Marty Brodeur. So, like, we've had Vasilevsky. We're so used to him. I mean, he's so good. Let's be honest with you. He's the best goalie in the NHL. If you went to 20 general managers and talked to them, or 32 general managers, who would you have in your net for one game to win the Stanley Cup? They'd all take Vazzy. I mean, we're being honest here. So, he's that good. But when you're used to a guy playing that many games, you get used to what he does. He knows where to read. He knows where to hand off the puck. He's like a quarterback back there because he can see guys coming on the defenseman. He knows when you need to shoot the puck around the board because the defenseman's getting pressured hard and fast by the forward coming in him. So he knows what to do. And sometimes when you don't have a goalie like that or a new guy like Johansson, I mean, it's just a different way they think. And, I mean, they're not used to that. So, I mean, not trying to say anything bad because he's played really well in net. I mean, we were all worried at the beginning of the season with Vazzy being out for the first 20 games, let's say. If our record would have been 2 or 3 wins and 14 losses, we'd be in deep trouble right now. But, we're only 8-10 right now with Vazzy coming back. So I like where we're at. Vazzy's going to be ready to go tonight. I'm excited. I saw him in the morning skate. He looked really good in net. And you know what? Hopefully the boys are ready to play. I think they played. Actually, I thought in Colorado the team played good. We lost 4-1. Even in Phoenix, I thought we played okay. But the goalie in Phoenix, who he drafted, I can't think of his name.
Connor Ingram. Connor
Ingram. He played unbelievable. Last year he had a shutout against us, and then this year he played really good. So, I mean, I don't know. He just got the Lightning number for whatever reason, but his record is 8-3 in Phoenix. So, I mean, you know what? I thought we played a good game, but we just didn't get enough done. But overall, we got to have a big game tonight because this is, playoff contention. Pittsburgh's 10-10. We're 10-8, and 2 points are on the line, and we better be ready to come out. And, Sidney, Malkin, Carlson, Letang, they got a good team here. They can play.
Yeah, of course they can. Pittsburgh, it's kind of interesting. They have a +10 goal differential this year. They're sitting way back in their division, but it's kind of really bunched up. They're 10-10-1. They're 5-4-1 over their last 10. So they're just kind of middling, but they can turn it on whenever they want, I think. And they always seem to raise their level up against the Lightning. So I think it'll be interesting tonight. And whenever you got Crosby on the ice and Nikita Kucherov, who right now leads the league in points with 37. JT Miller, our old friend, has 35. He's second in goals to Brock Besser. He's got 15 goals. He's just having a tremendous season. Second star in the league last week. What have you seen from Cooch this year? It seems that he's being more aggressive with his shot. This is the best iteration of Kucherov I think I've ever seen. Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I mean, I don't really see much of a difference, just that he's just a world-class player that sees the ice that no other players can see. I mean, when let's think of Nikita Kucherov, I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody else, but, like you look at Connor McDavid, plays for the Edmonton Oilers, and, Nate McKinnon plays for Colorado, some other guys. I mean, you know what? Kucherov does so many things good with the puck that those guys cannot do. I mean, he's the best I've ever seen on the power play besides maybe Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. I would put him right up there with those guys in terms of creativity with the puck, seeing stuff that no one else sees. I mean, you can talk about, Yzerman and Sakic and Forsberg, and the list goes on and on. But Kucherov on the power play to me is just as good as any of those guys I mentioned Gretzky in the new. He has something that no one can do. He sees the puck and makes plays that are crazy good. And I think this year is something he's doing different that he hasn't in the past. He's shooting the puck more. And I mean, he's got a great shot. Maybe it's not as good as Stamkos, but he can shoot the puck. I think Kucherov, I don't think he's ever scored 40 goals in the league. I think he can get 50 this year.
No,
I mean, I told him in the dressing room, shoot the puck. Yeah, yeah.
We've all been saying that. And and I think he's going to have the MVP season. He's got to have a Hart Trophy, and I think he's going to lead this Lightning team deep into the playoffs if he stays healthy. You know, he's 30 years old. This is his prime, right? This is as good as you're going to get this year and the next few years. He's learned the game. Yeah. He knows the league. He knows the goalies. He knows his teammates. He's got a great core of teammates that he's worked with. And that's why I'm so bullish on this Lightning team. I think as Vasi gets back in, their communication gets better on defense. We know they can score. It's just the defense that's got to get better. And they've shown when they need to do it, they can do it. They can clamp it down defensively. So I feel like this team's best hockey is ahead of them. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think they got a team. I think when Vasi comes back in, you know what? I think, you know, he's played 2 games now, but when he gets into like game 5 or 10 coming up here, I think he's only going to get better. And, you know, I love our chances. Our core guys are still good. You know, Sergachev and Hedman, and you know, talk about the 3 guys up front with Kucherov, Point, Stamkos. I mean, they're world-class players, all these guys. And I think, you know, we can maybe fill in. I'd like to see our team. We've got the grip and stuff like that, but we just got to come out ready to play and stuff like that. I mean, you know, you're always missing a line. Like I always go back to when we won the Stanley Cups a couple of years ago. You know, what is the difference between maybe our team winning and not winning? Maybe the third line. I mean, when you talk about Yanni Gord, Coleman, and Barclay Goodrow, you know, when things weren't going well, they would go out there and stir the pot. They'd create havoc on the ice. They would just feel crazy. And all the rest of the guys on the team on the bench would be like, oh, okay, now we got to start playing. And that's what sometimes you have. I mean, that's something we're maybe missing because at the end of the day, you can't always play great, but you can always have your work ethic up there. And I think like a Yanni Gord and Coleman, Gaudreau, they got the star players to play when they weren't really playing. And that's something that we maybe don't have right now.
Yeah. Some of those other guys got to step up. And, you know, I think AC Mont's played well. But we need to see him grow. We need to see them all grow a little bit more. And you know, I think, you know, with Kucherov and the rest of the core of this team, I think that happens. So we shall see. All right, partner. Yep, Hockey Fights Cancer tonight. We'll be wearing our Hockey Fight Cancer's colors. You know, that, what do we call that? That purplish.
Lavender?
Lavender. That's it. Yeah, I knew there was, you know, some schmoozy name for it. Yeah, we'll be wearing our lavender tonight.
On TV.
Oh, yeah. Full lavender, baby.
Yeah, figure out how to watch that in Dallas.
It's always a good night, you know, Hockey Fights Cancer and stuff like that, and everything's going to be here. And, you know, everybody, whether you had someone or you know somebody or you have a family member, everybody has been affected at some point or time in their lives. So, you know, it's a great cause. It's a great thing tonight that the Lightning are doing, and all the teams in the NHL at some point are. So it's going to be a fun night tonight, and hopefully we have a big win for the Bolts.
Let's hope so, my friend. We'll see you tonight. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you checking in from the morning skate. The great Brian Brown.
See you tonight, JP. Go Bolts.
Go Bolts. Absolutely. Yep. Hockey Fights Cancer night. Always, you know, the Lightning, we do such a great job. I say we, you know, the Lightning Vision, they do such a great job with all the theme nights. But this one is particularly special. We bring in some really emotional stories, some really emotional moments. Raise a lot of money. It's a good night. So
I mean, there's not a person on the planet that hasn't been affected by cancer.
I know, right?
Right. Either you know somebody, you know, or you a family member, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, like, you know, me personally, but it's. I mean, that's such a cause. When anytime somebody's talking about charity and stuff, if it's not dealing with children, you know, cancer is just it's nasty. I don't even like talking about it. I did have a hockey question for you though, JP.
Yes, sir.
So we're just over the quarter point here of the season. And I kind of feel like, let's see, the Bolts are 6 points back, I think, of Boston for the Atlantic. And not that anybody expects Tampa Bay to catch Boston, But with Vassy just coming back, I kind of feel like the identity, we don't even know really who this team is yet, right? Since Vassy's just coming back, like the personality of the team, we know they need to improve on defense. They haven't been playing great defense recently, but I feel like even at the quarter point here, we still don't really know who this team is yet.
Yeah, well, Chief talked about this a little bit. It was yesterday, maybe Tuesday it was, that, Vassy has this, since he's been with this core, with Sergachev especially and Hedman, Chernak, and then, even the forwards as well with Braden Point, the whole core of this team that's been together for so long, that he has this, it's almost unspoken communication, but also has, spoken communication and signals that they use in terms of, with certain situations. We have a 2-on-1, a 3-on-2, Vassy would like to see the puck, close the guy down, cover the two guys on the offside, let the puck carrier come in, and let him deal with just that and close down the backside, and he'll deal with it. So there's certain situations like that he's used to. They know how to play it. There's other, power play, penalty kill, all those other things. So there's a familiarity there that just makes your defense better, right? What do we talk about in football? The details. These are the details that makes your defense better. And when the rest of the team gets up to speed, and I do think they are using a new kind of defensive system, so there's some transition into that as well. Right. So, yeah, I think there's no question that the defensive side of this is going to get way better. The team can score. That's never going to be a problem. So it's not like you're just hoping that this team gets better. You see a pathway to it, right? What's your deficiencies? How do you address it? Yeah, it seems pretty natural, right? So they still have and then Kucherov he's raised his level. There's just no question about it. I know he's not, quote, doing much different, but the results are better. And I think I see a guy that's more aggressive in shooting the puck, as Brian mentioned. And that makes a difference, because I think other teams had kind of fallen into that, we know Kuch is going to pass mentality. So, and they played him that way. And now he's become a much more lethal scorer, second in the league in goals now with 15. So now that's like, okay, and that's making every other part of his game more effective. So yeah, and tonight should be fun. This is always fun when you get a collection of great talent on the ice, and Pittsburgh will bring they'll bring a great fan base tonight. There'll be a constant cheer within the house, because everybody will be cheering for something. And I kind of like those games. There's no dead periods. It tends to get up and down the ice and back and forth. So tonight should be really fun.
I can't wait to see this Lavender. I'm going to have to find you guys online or something, since we don't get you here in Dallas.
Oh, just, I'll post a few pictures and what have you.
Can't wait for this.
And we, one of our other hosts on 102.5, Drew Garabo, who just beat cancer, was in chemo for a long time and has been very public about his cancer battle. It's a big night for him now that they're the flagship station and what have you.
Sure.
His story has been very inspirational, and, really has made a point every day to put something on social media about, how important every day is. And when you've been through a fight for your life like that, it gives you a different perspective. Yeah. And cancer has done that. For those who have beat cancer, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've dealt with somebody who's beat cancer, or even somebody who's lost that battle, it hits home even more. Every day is a gift, man. And you better treat it like that. Don't throw them away. Make the most of it, stay in the moment, and be that person, So, and we'll be doing, have little signs of people that, one of my colleagues, the big dog, a big personality in sports radio here, passed away a few years ago of a brain tumor. One of my colleagues, one of my mentors, another one, Chris Thomas had pancreatic cancer. So I've had a lot of people in my business that have passed away from cancer, so we'll have signs for them and remembering them. Just really, awesome. Really great people. So it's all part of tonight's, I don't want to say festivities,
sure.
But interesting. So I was just checking in the break on see if there's any breaking stories. So here's an interesting story. Joe Bucs fan put up today. Justin Fields becoming the Bucs quarterback in a trade in the off season. Former Giants and Eagles beat guy Matt Lombardo for fanbuzz.com, after speaking with former NFL suits, think the Bears may pull the trigger on Caleb Williams or Drake May in the draft and part ways with Justin Fields, who has 2 more years left on his contract, not counting the 5th-year option. So that's a good deal. You know, if you're looking for a quarterback that's not going to cost you $40 million, and I think Justin Fields' best football is ahead of him. I thought this might, I thought this might be a breakout year for him. But that's a disconnect with the coaching staff that didn't draft him. It just doesn't seem like it's a defensive minded. I think Justin Fields has a lot of traits similar to Jalen Hurts. Big kids, both can really, really run, really good leaders. I think both of them good leadership qualities. So yeah, I
mean, and let's be honest, the Bears are not known for grooming their quarterbacks.
Right, exactly.
So we really may have no idea what
they've never had a 4,000-yard passer
ever, and they're 103 years old.
That's crazy when you look at some of the 4,000-yard passers in this league. They've never had one. That's bizarre. So I hadn't really thought of that, but I'm at just first blush, I'm like, okay. All right. I mean, clearly has a higher ceiling than Baker Mayfield.
Sure.
I mean, if we're being honest, right?
Man, but the problem with that is if it doesn't work out, God, you're set back now another 8-9 years, because.
But you're not using that first pick on
a
quarterback. You're using it on hopefully an edge rusher. So when you look at the Texans, they got Will Anderson, CJ Stroud, right? Huge jump. Get your edge rusher and your quarterback, which I think right now the Bucs don't have. They don't have an elite edge rusher and they don't have an elite quarterback. So in 1 year, you could get both, which you're not getting if you just use the draft. Fair?
Sure.
And, are you giving up? You're certainly not I don't think, what's it going to take to get Justin Fields?
I mean, look what they gave up to get it. At least a second.
Yeah, but that's not happening.
Well, I know you're not getting back exactly what you gave up, but
hell no.
It'll be more than just a second. I mean,
let's look at precedent. Quarterbacks that kind of fell out of favor, didn't prove themselves from a franchise standpoint, but it's still, maybe we can all look and say, it's not proven yet. I'm trying to think of somebody in that category.
And if they're going to be, if they're public about about putting him on the open market, you could get into a bidding war too. You might have some other teams that are interested, and you may have to give up a little bit more than you wanted to.
But you look around the league right now, there's how many teams are quarterbacks searching. So a lot of teams have their guy or just drafted their guy. I'd have to go through the league and see who's who.
New England.
New England's looking. Falcons, I think, probably feel
Saints.
like Desmond Ritter's not the guy. Saints still got a car under non-cuttable contract for the next 2 years.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
and I was a car guy, man. I was.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, clearly Dallas
Raiders
is good. The Raiders could be in the market for one. So I mean, I'd have to look around the league, but I don't think it's going to be a 1. I think it might be a 2. And it might, I don't know if it has to be next year.
Yeah, and the only way it becomes a 1 is if you get into a bidding war and you have somebody that's just outright willing to overpay and give up a 1 and a 3.
And at that point, maybe you get that, and this is a great quarterback heavy draft. Many believe you can get one in the second round. So, if they want a 1, I'm not giving it. I'm going to go play the draft and draft, somebody in the second round.
Right.
Jaden Daniels is going to rise to the second round, like many people say. Give him away to the second round and take Jaden. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I feel like the risk would be the same, drafting an unproven guy in the first round or Justin Fields in, because yes, we have a body of work for Justin Fields, but it's with the dysfunctional Bears.
Right, exactly.
And you really don't know what you have. I would throw that whole body of work out,
Yeah. Yeah. But there's some good stuff in there, especially the last few weeks. There's some good stuff in there. So,
all the bad. Yeah, you got to throw all the bad out because you don't know what he's being told over there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's something worth considering, though, because I would like to. The Bucs are going to have a lot more cap space, so they can go free agent. They can get some players. I would address the center position. I would address edge rusher if you can do it. You got it. You could hopefully get one of those elite players in free agency. I haven't looked at the list yet, but this could be a pretty quick turnaround. Be even more quicker turnaround how they traded Mike Evans for the one from the Jets.
Could be. Hey, or to follow up on something we talked about earlier, the Sunday Night Football Peacock schedule. So you have some Peacock-only games coming up from the NFL where you have to subscribe to Peacock to watch it. One of those is the NFL holiday exclusive Bills at Chargers on December 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And one is a January 13th wild card game.
What?
On Peacock only, JP. January
Wow.
13th. Wild card
Boy, how much they
exclusive.
pay for that? Boy, they must have paid the NFL a crap ton for that.
Well, it's probably included in the package because, I mean, they're owned by NBC. So it's in the NBC package. But, man, NBC's taking a huge risk with a wild card game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Golly.
You mean that free trial? I'll use my free trial that week. Yeah, for sure. All right, Myron, just go to the patio and watch it.
There you go.
Even easier.
There you go.
All right, that'll do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, Scott Carter apologized. He had something come up work-related, and his iPhone update did not notify him. Hate that new iPhone update. I hate you people. I think I'm going to Google.
No, don't do it.
Don't do the Pixel?
It's a trap.
All right, we'll have to talk afterwards then. I was about to pull the trigger on that deal.
Okay, all right.
All right, folks. Thank you guys for joining us. If you missed anything, always go back and listen by podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Just please subscribe to the JP Peterson Show. We update it every day, Monday through Friday, 2 hours of your best Tampa Bay sports talk. Tell your friends, repeat and reshare the show whenever you can. We'd really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks, Tim. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Scott Carter will join us then.